Welcome to Sustainable Asia's new podcast series, Greenbites. I'm Chermaine Li.
And I'm Bonnie Au.
Greenbites is a new weekly show that delivers our handpicked green stories in Asia that we think you should know about.
So, welcome to the first episode of Greenbites. Today, we're going to talk about some of the green initiatives in Asia, as well as China's pioneering rainwater trade and the world's first lab-grown chicken dish for sale.
We know that 2020 was unusual for everyone. I've never worked from home that much in my pajamas before, nor have I ever been so worried about telling people that I have a sniffle. But the pandemic did show us a silver lining. It pushed the largest drop in the global carbon emission in history. An NGO called Global Carbon Project revealed in mid-December that COVID-19 has actually cut down carbon emissions in 2020 by 7%.
And the other pandemic silver lining is that more and more countries are declaring climate emergencies, which means they would prioritize climate policies. Some countries in Asia have announced significant climate goals in December last year.
Yeah, that's right, Bunny. The big news was that China has finally committed to staying carbon neutral by 2060, and within 10 years, they pledged to cut down carbon emission by 65%. It's pretty ambitious as the country is still burning a lot of coal to create energy.
China's neighbors like India and South Korea have also made similar announcements. Have you heard that India is on its way to build the world's largest hybrid renewable energy plant?
Yeah, I heard that. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said it's going to be as big as Singapore. This plant comes with an even larger potential. It is expected to produce 30 gigawatt of renewable energy, which means they can power the lights of the whole country with that.
Well, that would be a day I want to see. Modi also said that he wants to reduce its carbon dioxide emissions by up to 50 million tons per year. That's a quarter of what the Amazon rainforest is absorbing annually.
That'd be seriously helpful considering wildfires have constantly destroyed more and more parts of the Amazon rainforest.
So there's also another country that is very eager in cutting carbon emissions, and that's South Korea. President Moon Jae-in said earlier that they want over 1 million electric vehicles and 200,000 hydrogen cars on the road in 4 years. So let's hope these countries will walk the talk.
I certainly hope the same, Bonnie. I also think they might have more reasons now than ever to do that. The Red Cross said in December that the Asia-Pacific region faced a record number of climate-related disasters, 24 last year alone. Unbelievable, right? These calamities have badly affected millions of people who are already hit hard by the pandemic and a global economic downturn.
It must be very tough for them. Do you remember the typhoons, floods, and landslides in the Philippines and Vietnam in 2020? They've affected at least 30 million people. That's a lot higher than the number of total COVID casualties around the world. A recent report by the McKinsey Global Institute estimated that the risk for future extreme floods in Vietnam could jump tenfold by 2050.
Wow, that's really scary. Its neighboring country, Indonesia, is also seeing serious impacts of climate change. Have you heard that they're building a new city to replace the capital, Jakarta?
Yes, I have. But they don't really have a choice, do they? Because Jakarta currently is sinking at a shocking rate of 15 centimeters a year. That means by 2050, which is in less than 30 years, the city will be completely underwater.
BBC called it the fastest sinking city in the world. And don't forget that many people in Southeast Asia live in poverty and vulnerable conditions. The climate-related disasters can cost them millions of dollars.
Actually, not only millions of dollars. Reuters reported that the cyclone Amphan, which battered India and Bangladesh last year in May, created damages of over $13 billion. And on the other hand, these climate-related disasters are pushing countries to come up with creative solutions. China, for example, started trading rainwater for the first time to solve its water crisis. About 80% of the water sources in the whole country are located in the south, while northern provinces like Beijing and Tianjin are suffering from water scarcity. The South China Morning Post reported that the local government in Hunan province traded water with 2 local private companies. These two companies provided 20,000 cubic meters of rainwater to the government to water plants and clean the streets.
1 cubic meter of water equals 1,000 liters or 28 showers. It means these two companies would have collected enough water for over 550,000 people to have a shower. That's a pretty impressive amount. Do you know how they collected the rainwater?
So, property management firms will install equipment in residential buildings so they can collect the rainwater. And then they can sell that rainwater to engineering companies who will disinfect and manage it. The government can then purchase that water at a market price. So currently, the program is still in infancy, so it will take some time to determine if a rainwater trading market will grow and thrive.
Indeed, I guess we'll have to see. And speaking of programs in their infancy, have you heard of lab-grown meat?
Yes, it's the kind of meat that scientists can create in a petri dish, right? Lab-grown meat is actually designed as an alternative to traditional meat, and this saves us from having to slaughter animals. But don't forget that lab-grown meat is made of extract animal cells, so they're not exactly vegetarian. I know you're not a vegan, Chermaine, but are you thinking about trying it out?
I gotta say, I'm very curious about the taste and texture. As a foodie, how can I not be? One of the countries I love traveling to for eating is Singapore, so I'm not surprised to know that it has recently become the first country in the world to greenlight a cultivated meat product. In December last year, a restaurant started serving dishes made of lab-grown chicken.
Lab-grown chicken? I'm a little bit skeptical about how it's going to taste, to be honest. I heard that the product is made of 70% cultured chicken and 30% plant protein. It sounds good, in theory, I think, but who knows how it's going to taste in reality, right?
It is true, but I am still very intrigued. These dishes are made by a US startup named Eat Just. They created dishes that are inspired by cuisines in China, US, and Brazil, including my favorites, crispy chicken in waffle and sesame chicken in a bun with vegetables. I have to say they sound very yummy.
Doesn't sound too bad, actually. The product is so new that there are so few reviews that we can find online, so I wonder if any of our listeners have tried it in Singapore. Let us know in the comment sections on our social media platforms. We'd love to hear.
As we start a new page in 2021, I usually write down a list of New Year resolutions. So why don't you tell us 3 Green New Year resolutions for you this year? Like, it can range from educating yourself a little bit more on climate change, or buying secondhand clothes, or even eating less beef. For me, I promise myself to stop purchasing fast fashion and clean beaches as much as I can. How about you, Bunny?
Frankly, I think I have been pretty disciplined in avoiding the consumption of prepackaged products. I haven't really bought any bottled drinks or takeaways because I always bring my own bottle and food to work. But as we're all working from home now, I actually find myself snacking on junk food more often. So I think for 2021, my goal will be to cut down on snacking so I won't be disposing so much packaging. And I guess another goal of mine would be to take shorter showers. I have to say it's really hard to get out of hot showers, especially during these winter days. Hong Kong does get quite chilly sometimes. So that will be my challenge before the weather gets warm again.
Hey listeners, how about you? Leave your comments on our social media channels at Sustainable Asia. We will read out some of yours and stay tuned for next week.
Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast channels for more content and share our podcast with your friends and family. To find out more about us, visit our website at sustainableasia.co and follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Sustainable Asia or Sustainable Asia Co.